The young men, yeah. Looks party type.
Tribute to him.
When they were peeling out. But the thing is, you're screwing up the investigation because, yeah,
So, Noah was at home, heard the heard that guy, heard the crash, and he was the first responder there.
oh
Gave
really?
CPR.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But he said like you could hear him out of their house tearing up from the railroad tracks wide open on that bike.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, yeah.
and as whether or not it was, and that's kind of a spot to do that. It's a straightaway, it's wide open, it's the middle,
Mhm.
lady no one's going to be there.
Mhm.
He said that guy was. I
Or
don't know if that was one bike or two bikes, but you could hear it.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah,
Welcome,
tragic.
welcome to this evening's meeting. We will call the meeting to order this evening at 6:31 p.m., beginning with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. All right. For those new to our board meetings this evening, each month the board likes to recognize students, staff, or community members whose achievements are outstanding. They go beyond the call of duty, or generosity, is greatly appreciated. So this month we are very pleased to recognize the entire building and grounds department from Duanesburg Central Schools. I'm going to call them out individually because they all deserve to be called out individually. So we have our director, Anand Anandson, Dan Peacock, Richard Klinbell, Dan O'Neill, Bill Dara, Sherlyn Powell, Angelica Perlusi, I hope I said that correctly, Nicole Chase, Christina Snyder, Deb Walpole, Chris Slater, and all of our student workers. As you may have noticed, we are still actively in the midst of construction, and about 4 business days prior to school opening, we couldn't have opened. So all of these people worked overtime, and were here well beyond their normal duties to help us. And we'd also like to give a shout out to Schoolhouse Construction Project Manager, Mr. CJ Goodwin, who's sitting right over there. I think we may have given him, we may have erased a couple of years, or at least a few gray hairs over the last couple of weeks. The Associate Project Manager, Henry Gent, and then our Construction Manager, Paul Kane. We really appreciate you guys being here and helping us open up and carry on with what we've got going on. Next, our first board meeting of the academic year is a special one where we recognize folks that are being inducted into our Duanesburg Central Schools Hall of Fame. So I am going to relocate, and we're going to start with our presentation of the inductees. How about now? All right. All right. Again, thank you for joining us this evening as we proudly induct 3 exceptional individuals into Duanesburg's Hall of Fame. For those of you who don't know me, I am board president Melissa Them Peterson. This is my 4th year on the board and my 2nd as president. No, my 3rd as president? I think it's my 3rd as president. Before I introduce them, I'd like to take a moment to share how we arrived at this point, how these 3 remarkable individuals were nominated and ultimately selected for the Hall of Fame class of 2025. The annual online nomination process begins each January, and it continues throughout the spring, closing on the last day of school in June. Nominations are open to everyone, staff, students, families, and community members alike. Over the summer, the district's Hall of Fame committee carefully reviews all of our submissions. After thoughtful consideration, the committee selects 3 to 4 individuals who best meet the established criteria for induction into the Hall of Fame. DCS staff nominations can include current or former staff or retired staff. Nominations can also be made posthumously. DCS alumni nominations should meet 1 or more of the following criteria: connects experience at DCS with what the person has chosen to do with their lives or career, serves as an inspiration to current students, makes students want to aspire to be more, maintains a connection with DCS after they graduate, or brings a sense of pride to DCS, stands out as a DCS graduate. Inductees are notified over the summer and invited to attend a reception and recognition at the first Board of Education meeting of the new school year, which you're all here for tonight. The Duanesburg Hall of Fame induction class of 2025 features 3 outstanding individuals, all of whom are proud graduates of DCS. Before I move on, I do want to just put a thank you out there to, I think we have a couple of nominating committee members here, so if you would just raise your hand, and thank you for your service in selecting these folks this evening. So, our first inductee is Francis Spohr. Our second is Margot Blumstein, and our third is John James. So first up, we have Francis Spohr. I think I'm going to invite you after, so if you'd like to stay seated, you may, but if you'd like to come and stand, that's also okay. Okay. I hit the right button as well. He was teasing me about the right arrow. All right, Mr. Francis Spohr proudly graduated from Duanesburg High School in 1997. Since then, he has remained a dedicated and active member of the school community, building deep connections and demonstrating a lasting commitment to giving back to the place he credits with shaping his early years. After graduating from DCS, Mr. Spohr earned a bachelor's degree in computer science from the Rochester Institute of Technology, followed by a master's degree in computer science from Union College. He began his professional journey as a software engineer and currently works at TeamSnap, where he contributes to making youth sports more accessible and manageable for families. In addition to his professional work, Mr. Spohr has remained deeply involved in the Duanesburg community. He and his wife, Samantha, chose to raise their family here, and their 2 children currently attend DCS. He has volunteered in a variety of local programs, including Cub Scouts, Odyssey of the Mind, and the Duanesburg Community PTA. Through the PTA, he also maintains the website for Light Up Duanesburg, a community initiative celebrating the holiday season. Mr. Spohr was elected to the Duanesburg Board of Education in 2021 and currently serves as vice president. He is also a trustee of the Duanesburg Education Foundation, where he helps support programs and initiatives that benefit DCS students and schools. His focus remains on creating opportunities for young people to thrive and ensuring the strength and success of the district for generations to come. Being part of this community, first as a student, now as a parent, volunteer, and school leader, has been one of the most meaningful parts of my life, Mr. Spohr said. I'm grateful for the chance to contribute and proud to be part of Duanesburg's legacy. We proudly introduce you to Mr. Francis Spohr, a Hall of Fame inductee for Duanesburg's class of 2025. Mr. Spohr may have more things to say later, we don't know. Okay. Our second inductee this evening is Margot Blumstein. Ms. Margot Blumstein is an internationally acclaimed speaker, consultant, and one of the most prominent voices in the content strategy industry. And she just also happens to be a 1996 graduate of Duanesburg Central School District. She earned her BFA in Design and Anthropology at Carnegie Mellon University, one of the country's most prestigious institutions for design and communications. There, she honed the analytical and creative skills that would define her career. She is the author of Trustworthy: How the Smartest Brands Beat Cynicism and Bridge the Trust Gap, and the web industry mainstay, Content Strategy at Work: Real-World Stories to Strengthen Every Interactive Project. As the principal of Appropriate Inc., a Boston-based brand and content strategy consultancy, she has taught workshops, keynoted conferences, and advised marketing teams around the world for more than 2 decades. I forgot to change the slide. Her clients include Harvard University, Fidelity, Lovehoney, MailChimp, Scholastic, Sallie Mae, Timberland, and the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority. Her groundbreaking work in the fields of communications and design, combined with her commitment to civic discourse and mentorship, make her a standout representative of Duanesburg's legacy of excellence. A participant in the inaugural Content Strategy Consortium and featured speaker of the famed South by Southwest conference, Ms. Bloomstein advises Women Talk Design, a platform for speakers in design, and teaches in both the Content Strategy Graduate Program at FH Joannaum University in Graz, Austria, and the Experience Design Department at Bentley University in Massachusetts. Her nomination reads, Margot Bloomstein represents the best of what Duanesburg Central School education can empower a graduate to achieve: national leadership, intellectual contribution, and a lasting positive impact on society. We proudly introduce you to Ms. Margot Bloomstein, a Hall of Fame inductee for Duanesburg's class of 2025.
So yeah, Tricia told me that we were supposed to, or could prepare a few words to say, Francis. Well, I'm not going to respond on that, but it would have been a good response. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, both for this opportunity, this honor tonight, and for the 13 years that I had at Duanesburg. Wow, like getting choked up, that shouldn't be happening. But thank you so much to my parents who mentored and guided and steered me through the process here. And I guess I just wanted to share how my education at DCS was such a lesson in community, from seeing like so many school board meetings that my mom was always going up to. So for the longest time, it was my dad that was tucking me in at night during those school board meetings and always reading me like the same book too. And then when I got a little bit older, going to those school board meetings too, because that was how you participated in community. And that idea of community at DCS was so intimate. I graduated with 63 kids, and I think we were one of the bigger classes at that point. And everybody knew everybody, and their parents, and their siblings, and for better or worse. And all of our teachers knew our parents, and vice versa, and they welcomed them in the classroom, and in the halls, and in field trips. And that was such a lesson to me for how to be a parent, and also how to be an individual in community, that it was everyone's responsibility. It was everyone's opportunity, so it was everyone's responsibility. And I think that idea that everyone has a stake in building community, for that example, I am so grateful. My education at DCS was also marked by so much creativity. When I was here, at least, we didn't have the most. It wasn't the wealthiest school district. It wasn't the biggest school district. We didn't have the greatest variety in courses, but we were so good at problem solving, and we were so scrappy about it. I remember when I was here, it was hard to come by AP classes. So that was when the district started exploring distance learning, and we installed a special classroom with cameras so that we could take classes maybe taught by teachers in Middleburg or Schoharie, so that other rural school districts could partner together and have those classes together. We also learned a lot about creativity in that process because we discovered how you could exploit being off camera to pretend like your school was having a fire drill at that point or something like that. And then as I started in school to look beyond and look at universities with daunting and impressive colleges of fine arts, my teachers were so incredibly creative to help me put together a portfolio that would compete with students at bigger high schools with more advanced opportunities and classes. And it was teachers like Mrs. Rem and Mr. Richards and Mrs. Rosasco, especially Roscoe in the art room, that were always willing to meet me where I was and help me move forward. It was Mrs. Rem's lessons in feminism and activism taught in the Spanish classroom, even though I wasn't a Spanish student, and at the helm of the school newspaper. They still carry me forward. And Mr. Richards teaching me so much about communication with lessons that I bring into my classrooms, into my clients today. And it was Roscoe's patience and creativity in the art room and the generous attention. That was something that I felt from my teachers through my whole life. One of my first experiences with a DCS teacher was actually when I was probably about 2 or 3, and my mom had brought me to the old Quaker Street Library, the old one that didn't have a bathroom, and we had to be creative with that too. And we were sitting on the lawn in front of it, and I can still remember it. Mrs. Rosasco, the lofty high school art teacher, she was there teaching toddlers how to make, I think, woven placemats and potato stamps and all. And then 15 years later, I was still learning from her when she was helping me put together my portfolio for college. Just a few weeks ago, I reached out to her on Facebook because I was like, I'm working through this problem with watercolor. I don't know what I'm doing. It's a humbling medium. And she was like, okay, let me know your questions. We can move forward on this. I can meet you where you are and help you move forward together. And like my parents, this community has been with me every step of the way. And I think that's what so many people in Duanesburg know, and I hope so many students know too, that this place doesn't leave you. You bring the best of it with you. And I think that's what being in a community is, that it is about the unflinching communication and scrappy, creative problem solving that makes all of this, and frankly, me, possible. So thank you all so much. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you so much, Margot. All right, last but certainly not least for this evening is Mr. John James. John James is a lifelong resident of Darby Hill and Delanson, and has remained a steadfast and dedicated member of the community following his graduation from Duanesburg Central School in 1963. He has played an instrumental role in organizing and hosting reunions for his class, helping to preserve the strong bonds of friendship and school spirit across the decades. Following high school, Mr. James attended SUNY Cobleskill and went on to serve 4 years in the United States Air Force, where he was stationed in England and honored with assignments that included work on presidential details. In the 1970s, Mr. James drove a school bus for the Duanesburg Central School District. A skilled carpenter by trade, he founded Tri-City Scaffold in Delanson in 1988. Under his leadership, the company grew into a highly successful business with a team of 40 employees, earning a strong reputation in the industry and the community. Mr. James has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to youth and the growth of the Duanesburg community. He is a founding member of the Quaker Street Cattle 4-H Club and served as its leader for many years. In addition, he volunteered as coach for Duanesburg Little League and served as a member of the Duanesburg Historical Society, gladly giving his time, expertise, and his heart to his community neighbors. John and his wife Cheryl raised their 3 children here locally, all graduates of DCS. His deep roots in the community continue through his 11 grandchildren, 5 of whom have also graduated from Duanesburg. Today, a 3rd generation of the family is carrying on the tradition with his great-grandchild entering kindergarten at Duanesburg Elementary School this year. His nomination reads, "John embodies the values of service, integrity, and dedication that the Duanesburg High School Hall of Fame seeks to honor. His life's work has not only enriched the lives of those around him, but also strengthened the fabric of the Duanesburg community. We proudly introduce you to Mr. John James, Hall of Fame inductee for Duanesburg's class of 2025. Mr. James.
I'd just like to say I have nothing but fond memories of the Duanesburg Central School, mainly the teachers who had confidence in me, and they always came to me to give me little ideas, little help once in a while, and I learned a lot from them. Even when I started the business, there was a couple of them that still came around to pitch in to tell me what they thought. And it was something I learned from this area. I think it works good in this area is when you're doing good in life, pay it forward and help people who aren't doing quite as good. And I learned that from this community and here at the school. That's all I can say. Thank you.
That concludes our Hall of Fame induction. We will now move on to our regular business meeting, which I promise will be riveting, but probably not as exciting as what we just did. So for those who are here for our inductees and would like to scoot out, now's a great time. We don't blame you. Okay. Moving to our next item, which is board discussion of this evening's agenda. Any comments or questions on this evening's agenda? Next item is changes to the agenda. I'm going to ask for a motion to strike the oath of office for student board members. Our student board members had some conflicts this evening, so we are going to deliver that oath of office at our October meeting. So may I have a motion to remove item 3.01 from tonight's agenda?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Francis. A second, Michael? Thank you, Michael. Comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So then I think we'll do the next resolution. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approve this now amended agenda for the regular meeting. May I have a motion? Motion. Oh. Thank you, Lissa. A second, Tony? Thank you. Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Serena, did we have anybody that signed up for public comment this evening? Okay, we'll move past that. The public has left. Not all of them, but some. Okay. All right, next item. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular meeting on August 26th, 2025. May I have a motion? Thank you, Tony. A second? Thank you, Ray. Comments or questions on the minutes from our last meeting? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Thank you, Francis. Okay. Our next item is a capital project update. I think that means you, Mr. Goodwin. and Drew and company.
Testing, testing. All right. Is everybody okay with me being over here? Okay, great. So we're here today to talk about an excellent opportunity for the district and the community in extending what we have called the Centennial Project because we're celebrating 100 years when we were originally conceiving of the project. This work is going to be doing a lot of the same things that we were doing in phase 1 and phase 2, which are ongoing right now. And we thought it was interesting to look back. What did these buildings look like when they opened? And what can we do now to extend what we've done already? Next. So we want to reimagine these facilities with your help with modern usage in mind. That's a key theme that was started when this project was originally conceived. So we'll do a short agenda. We'll give you some intros to who we are. We'll talk about the planning process we've done so far and what remains ahead. Talk about the guiding principles that we established early on, review the scope plans, talk about the budget and estimating, and then open it up for questions. So district leadership, Ms. Kim Ross, Jeff Rivenberg, Anna Onitson have been helping us throughout the entire process. I'm Drew Jones with Ashley McGraw. I'm at the bottom of the list somehow. But Nick Signorelli is here. He's the leader of our K-12 department. And Catherine can't be with us today, but she's also a principal and a learning environment planner who's helping us on all of the educational design that we're doing. For Schoolhouse, today we have CJ Goodwin, who all of you know so well. Eric Robert is also leading up the effort. And we also have from Fiscal Advisors, Christine Crowley, who can answer any of the financial ins and outs that I'm going to gloss over in about a minute. So what have we done so far? So we started this process in July, and we immediately met with district leadership and the facilities committee to start honing down into what is this project going to be. We also met with fiscal advisors to make sure that we knew how much available funds were and what we could approach for a project. We worked with CJ and his cost estimation team to make sure we understood the current costs and what we could achieve. And then we updated the board a couple of times about where we were in the process, what we were thinking about doing, and answering questions about roofs and what are we going to continue to do about the roof situation. Future tasks, in October at your next meeting, you will do the Project Secra resolution. You will also certify the amount that the referendum is going to be for, and set the date for when that vote is going to be. Then through November, there'll be project marketing. And then on the 2nd, can you go back? Thank you. On the 2nd, there will be, December 2nd, there will be a public meeting, which is required for prior to any referendum vote. And then we're looking to tune the referendum vote date to align with the holiday programming so that people who will want to be here anyway, and again, give them a reason to be here and to vote for the project. So the guiding principles that we've established for the project with the district's leadership really started to frame out what we wanted to achieve. So we wanted the facility improvements that we're doing to reflect the need of the students, educators, greater community, and the programs that they serve. We wanted to instill and deepen the sense of community pride, prioritize the relationship building and positive connections to create self and welcoming experiences for all, ensure an additional safety and security measures are integral to the work when they're completed, not secondary, if that makes any sense. So what we have in front of us is a $6.9 million project that would be phased over the next 3 years. A brief discussion of programmatic scope. It's not very long, but it was born of the prior building condition surveys that we've done, as well as the district's desire for the future of the facilities. So when we talk about programmatic scope versus building condition survey scope, think of programmatic scope as where teaching and learning and things like that are going to be happening, whereas building condition survey scope are things that need to happen or would like to happen because they need to be repaired, replaced, so on and so forth. So we're going to be looking to renovate the guidance suites renovation, which includes, and we'll see this on the plan, the current guidance suite as well as the CES suite that's down on the lower level. The high school gymnasium is going to get renovated, and there's a small bit of flooring replacement and repair that's going to happen at the high school. And at the elementary school, we're going to be installing a couple of bus chargers and some infrastructure to support future. And we can talk more about that when we get there. Building condition survey items are the flooring replacement, the high school baseball field fencing, and selected roof replacement at the elementary school. Thank you, Francis. We have not coordinated this in before at all. So it's the only roof that's left. And when we're going to talk about the summers when this work is going to happen, usually this amount of work wouldn't need to span 2 summers, but we need to reach the summer of 28 for that roof warranty to expire so we can actually get aid when we replace it. So let's look at the scope plans. Again, it's not a long list, but here at the elementary school in Area 1, this is where we're doing the electric bus charging infrastructure. And working with the board and the facilities committee, we really honed this down to just what we feel is necessary. So there's going to be the electrical upgrade that's required to serve these chargers. There's going to be the other electrical infrastructure so that the chargers can be installed. We're going to install just 2 chargers now and the underground infrastructure for a total of 10. And that's not getting too far out in front of ourselves with doing all the things that we could possibly do. And it's getting just a small footprint of install with a little bit more expandability that isn't going to be costing us an arm and a leg. The cost is relatively high because the infrastructure that you have to install to charge at all is relatively high. But once you get past that barrier, it gets a lot more cost effective to add more. We're only adding, again, 8 more possible install locations that would be very easy to drop the charger and you're done. If we needed to extend that farther, it would just be doing a little bit of earthwork, extending those services, and doing the same thing again. The roof is mainly over the elementary wing and the main entry. And again, this is the only roof that we couldn't do, that we wanted to do because of the warranty issue. That warranty doesn't expire until 2028. Otherwise, it would have been included in the phase 1 roofing work that we've completed at the building. At the high school, we're going to be doing gymnasium renovations and the guidance suite renovation. Both of those are in the darker purple. Again, that just differentiates between programmatic scope and then building condition survey scope. The only building condition survey scope here is classroom 113 and a related crack in the terrazzo in the hallway. Basically, they're both from the same situation, a little bit of building settlement, and we think that they're critical to do, and so does the district, and it works from a cost standpoint. If we move to the next slide, on the site, we're really only doing one thing, and this was an alternate within the phase 2 project, which was to do the baseball field fencing. So that's going to be fencing along the first base side to protect the building from foul balls. It's also going to be a new backstop with a proper cantilever, so we're not popping balls back up over to parked cars. And that's it. So again, the preliminary budget for this is 6.9 million. That's what we would be looking for voter authorization for. This is a preliminary budget, but as we go through design, once we're approved, there will be periodic design estimates that'll happen throughout the process that'll make sure that we're staying on target, we're not over designing anything, and that we can continually adjust what we're doing to stay within budget. Again, the summers for this construction would be 27 and 28. And I'd like
You hit it all.
yeah. So CJ and his team did an excellent job in helping us understand current costs. A lot of these items had been estimated in 2022, way back when we were planning the original project, and they needed a serious update for us to be collectively confident, and you did a great job with that. I don't have much else to offer, but if you've got questions, we'd love to hear them. And we've got resources here, both in construction management and fiscal advisors, if you've got any. So I will now cede the floor. And
Should we ask Christine to do
yeah,
some of her?
just review it quickly.
Hello, everyone. Okay, thank you. Okay, so as Drew mentioned, I'm the numbers lady, and so I like to look at all of the aidability within the scope so that we know how much we're going to receive back from the state by way of New York State Building Aid. So that's the revenue that the state reimburses back to the district over a 15-year period. And then we want to look at how we're going to borrow the money and what our payments are going to look like. And so our goal is to come up with a schedule for the borrowing that aligns with the building aid coming back. So in any one year, we're not having a large expense without that offsetting revenue coming back. And then the difference would be local share or tax levy. And so we look at a lot of different factors when we build this financing plan that you're looking at. Number one is if there's any capital reserve available. At this point, we're not using any capital reserve in this financing plan. The other piece is there any retiring debt that is falling off the books? And is there a tax levy associated with that? And if there is, can we backfill the need from this project or from the retiring project with this project so that we can create a level tax levy for our taxpayers? And so that's what we've done here. And so I know there's a lot of numbers, but let's kind of just follow the flow for 2 seconds. And the columns are labeled at the top. So we have our fiscal year. We have the balance of debt outstanding at the beginning of each fiscal year. Capital reserve, which we're not having any applied at this point. Columns 4 through 7 are the district's expense. Those are payments that you'd make each year. The first two, 4 and 5, are bond anticipation notes or bands. That's short-term borrowing. And then columns 6 and 7 are the bonds. That's the long-term, sort of a mortgage, if you will. And then column 8 is a sum of all those. So that total debt service, those are the total principal and interest payments you'd pay back to the lender each year. Column 9 are those building aid payments that we calculated. And for aidable expense, the district receives a reimbursement of 79.8 cents on every dollar spent. And so that's why we want to make sure we maximize that. And the difference is what the taxpayers would be responsible for. So column 10 is the difference between column 8 and column 9, our expense minus our revenue. So that's the tax levy that's needed for this project. And then column 11 shows the local share of all of our prior projects. And you can see in the first year, 28, the local share of the tax levy is about $365,000, and then it goes down to about $248,000. And when we add this project in, we retain that $365,000. So we retain a steady tax levy for the taxpayers and are able to accomplish the capital needs of the district. And you can see that in column 12, and you can see that that flows down for a few years, and then we start to see a drop around 2033 again, a smaller drop. So that's another opportunity to layer in a project that could be tax neutral. Okay, does everybody follow that? Awesome. So that's where we are at this point in time. We've reviewed the scope, we've looked at everything, and Drew mentioned the timeline of the 3 years, and that is to make sure that we're maximizing that aid ability, specifically at the elementary school. So any questions on the numbers? And if you, Jeff, if you want to go to the next slide, this is just a little simpler version of what I just showed. It just shows the fiscal years, the tax levy prior to this project, and you can see that drop, the tax levy of this project and the tax levy after. And then the far right column, that's the only difference that wasn't on the prior slide. That's just the difference in tax levy from year to year. So you can see it's substantially level. Yes. Yep.
In 12 is $5 million, and we
Yes.
are looking at excess of $1.9 million. What is the $1.9 million excess used for, or is that going to go back since we're not using capital reserve?
Where
what
are
is
you
that?
seeing the 1.9?
Okay, 5,034,000.
Yep.
85.
Yep.
385, and 6.9 is what our proposal is. So we have
Okay.
we have a 1.9 million roughly.
Yep, so column 12 is the total of this project and the prior projects. So column 10 plus column 11 equals column 12. So that 5 million is the total local share over from fiscal year 28 through fiscal year 43 that the taxpayers would be paying.
So if I may, I think I'm tracking
Yep.
with what you're saying, right? You think that's the total of what the project will cost? And
Is
it's
that what you're
actually
asking?
the total of how much the taxes will increase over that amount of years totaled together. Is that accurate?
It's the total amount that will be levied over those number of years. So right now it's at 365,000, and instead of going down to 248, if you weren't to do a project, and then coming back up in a future year when you needed to bring a project on.
Mhm.
So instead, the 365 is built in. It'll continue to be built into the budget. There won't be any increase, but that 5 million is what will be levied between now and 2043 for capital projects. Are you following that?
Not really. So the 6.9 doesn't have anything to do with the numbers in column 12 and 10. It's just, that's the proposed amount that the project's costing, but the aid you receive and the tax levy is, not to steal your thunder.
No, here, go ahead.
Not to steal your thunder, but the tax levy, the total is just, it's really not that important. It's just the 365 is the important number, that is somewhat maintained for a series of years versus column 11, where it's right now, it drops from 365 to 248 to 198, which means that there's a gap in where you can actually put a new levy back into the project.
Correct. Exactly right. I feel like you're still not following. Do you still have a question?
No, I'm still not following.
Okay.
No, that's okay. Sure. Understand it. Absolutely. It's to Sorry. sorry, he was asking if column 12 was meant to show that tax levy decreases over years. Column 12 is to show that we're maintaining the tax levy for capital purposes from year to year. Right.
Microphone, please.
Sorry.
Yes? Okay. I was just saying that instead of the tax levy going down at the completion of the project and then having to make a larger jump for the next one, we're kind of backfilling it so that it stays steady and there's not a giant increase we then have to ask the taxpayers for.
Okay, now I get it. Thank you.
Okay.
Got it.
And I think what's the confusing part is using the word tax levy,
Sure.
right? So you think that we're having to increase taxes to cover, when you see that, because it is
Yeah.
a term that's interchangeable, but we
Correct.
currently make payments towards previous projects from 5 years ago,
Yeah.
7 years ago. It's to keep it stable so that, like
Correct.
Alyssa said, so we're not levying more taxes. This is just the payments we make year after year after year after year.
Correct.
Right. So it's not,
Correct.
it's like you said, tax neutral. We're
Yeah.
not levying more taxes. It's just basically, this is the payment we have to make that we currently make and have been making on previous projects.
Correct. Correct.
Jeff,
Thank you.
is that 365 about the range we've been at, roughly?
Yes, that is, yeah.
Rough idea how long?
I was gonna, yeah. It's been a number of years that it's been at the 365.
Because we've done a
I can
number-
give you that exact. I don't want to throw a year out there and it be off, but
I
I
know,
can get that for you and give it to Jeff.
We've done a number of revenue neutral, of these tax neutral projects, trying to
Correct.
maintain that value so that our capital payments stay stable year to year. for a
Exactly
while now.
correct.
Right, and the tax neutral projects like what we're doing now, and please, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
The current project we're in now, and this is just an extension of the Centennial project, is a tax neutral. We didn't have to raise taxes for the construction that's going on now.
Correct.
It's intertwined with bonds maturing. And
That
like
is
Alyssa
correct.
said, when a bond matures, and if we don't backfill it with another project and keep that stable, and we wait, say, 5 years, when these things that need to be restored, then we do have to go out to the taxpayers and ask for a very large increase in the tax levy.
That is exactly correct. Yes. Well said. Any other questions on the finance side? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Christine.
Any other questions on the building side?
Is there any way you can get rid of the interesting things like the fences and the electric charging and just do more roofs?
Well, it's funny.
I
You're-
mean, no,
you're
I don't
running out of
care.
roofs
There's
to
got to
do.
be more roofs.
There are still some, but you are running out of them.
Yeah, I mean, that was a focus from day one, and, you know, this roof, the roof that we're gonna be doing in this project was the outlier that needed to be done. And we're hopeful that when we're done, there won't be any roofs that need to be done, for a while. You know, there are other roofs at the high school that will age out eventually, but they're not problematic at the moment.
I do want to mention, it's not in the scope of this work when it comes to the bond and the vote, that Mr. Rivenberg, myself, and the team evaluated remaining smart bond fund monies and a few other resources that, again, it won't be in the scope of the work that we necessarily put out to the public because we have other grant monies available to us, including E-rate, things like that, of replacing the PA system here to a more secure PA system. So that's why it's not listed there, because that's not what we will go out to the public for a vote for and or some, contingent upon SED.
Any more questions? Thank you, team. We appreciate you.
Have a good night.
Travel
you.
safely back to
Thanks, guys.
everywhere.
Travel safe.
Okay, next up we have Ms. Ross's report.
Okay, so you should have a copy within electronically or paper. This is going to fall out. Okay, so I'd like to do at least once a year, kind of update a year in review about our assessment and accountability data. I just want you to understand that the accountability data that you're going to see, this actually isn't going to work. The accountability data you're going to see will be updated in February. So State Ed has a weird cycle. They don't let us know our accountability status until then. Preliminary usually comes out in December, was the fastest, but sometimes it can go as late as January or February. But we're going to recap some of it. Oh, I guess I do have to touch it. All right, so when we talk about accountability, New York State Education Department looks at all 700 plus school districts, and they look at 3 through 8 assessments. There's several indices they look at. 3 through 8 assessments, Regents exams, graduation rate, chronic absenteeism, and ENL or Ls. This is just an overarching, you may remember this from last year when we got our accountability data last December, January. And they weighed it from a scale from 1 to 4. And school districts, a little later on, you're going to see a comparison to our neighboring districts. But green is good. Green is very good. So we have the elementary school and we have the high school. And we have the composite weighted and we have the composite core. What that is it's ELA math and science. The difference between weighted level and core is that weighted level uses the denominator, all students continuously enrolled from BEDS day to test day. All students is the denominator. And then they multiply by 100, so on and so forth. The composite core level are the students who are continuously enrolled and actually take a test. So the true number. Fun fact, it is very unusual, and I haven't been able to figure out, it never really happens the core level being less than the weighted level, because when you have all students versus students who just test. Haven't figured out how that happened. I've never seen that before. But we're happy because it's green. So then we have the high school as well. And our, I don't know why when I pull from the accountability website, it doesn't have students with disabilities. But they take the different subgroups. And they figure, and that's where they go from a scale from 1 to 4. So that's great news. Yep. We know that some of our students, and Mrs. Marvin works with her team, her MTSS team, about where we're 2 and chronically absent. Chronically absent means a student is absent more than 10% of the school year, or 18 days.
Just
Sure.
because I'm kind of curious, do you have a rough idea of the size of that economically disadvantaged pool?
I do. I actually have access to what students are considered economically disadvantaged. I can absolutely get you that number and put it in my weekly update, like the number, like the percentage of students. I think the last time I looked, we were in the high 20s, low 30s. All right, so I like to call this the heat map. And it is looking at, and I always like the comparative to previous years, like where are we going, where have we been? And we look at 3 through 8 assessments, and this is just this past spring. So we have each grade level, and it's also fun to look, if you say you looked at 3rd grade in 2021, what happened in 2022, what happened in 2023, 24, and then 25, right? So you're going down diagonally. But the bottom line is that when we look this past spring, because we want to not get hung up in the rearview mirror, right? We want to make sure we're always looking forward. You're going to see that other than 8th grade, and that's that red, right? We talked about they have dark green, light green, yellow, and red. The red means we felt the 8th grade ELA students fell below state average. And here, they came out with a memo that talks about how did the state do compared to Duanesburg. And I've said this for a year and a half now, that here's 2023, 2024, but this is how statewide, this is just statewide, it's not compared to Duanesburg. So if we look at grade 3, 54% were proficient in the state, so that's why we have more of that yellow color. In grade 4, 54%, we had 66.67. Grade 5, 57%, we were at 69, so on and so forth. So this is, they only gave me for 23, 24, and then 24, 25. So that's why in grade 8, it was 52% was proficient across the state, and we only hit 40%. Okay, here's math. We actually did really well in math this year. There's been a lot of effort. When we look across, right, 3rd grade through 8th grade, and other than 8th grade, slightly missing the mark compared to students across the state. So that's why it's that yellow. Pretty proud of those numbers for the kiddos who took this test in the spring. We also have to take science in, because that's part of that composite score. And again, it looks a little wonky, but they changed the test. Remember, they changed the grade levels? But we know this year, 56% in grade 5 were proficient. Now, the reason why we don't have an 8th grade science is because we accelerated all our 8th graders in science to a Regents level. And the state has, it's nice because we do over-assess our children, that if they take an accelerated course in 8th grade in either math or ELA or science, they don't have to take the state assessment. So all our students took the living environment regions. And then below is the state average. All right, I wasn't gonna put the school district's names, but please know it is within 15 miles of Duanesburg. So here we are. Here's our neighbors. So when I talk about Duanesburg does a lot of good things and does a lot of things right, look at the yellows and one red. The only thing that we're really focusing on is the economically disadvantaged attendance rate. So that's a feather in all our teachers' caps. Let's just look at that for a minute. A huge, significant difference with our neighboring school districts. All right, let's move on to Regents exams. We did accelerate in life science, biology, or living environment. Was it living environment or life science? Living environment, okay. And then we had biology. We knew we had some kiddos struggling in chemistry. And we also had some kiddos struggle in geometry. Here's the thing. We heard this across the state, that the living environment test, oh, no, I'm sorry, it was the life science test. The life science, old earth science test. Living environments, but, right, but we also, space science, the earth science, space science. We heard across between those two tests that a lot of districts across the state were like, the kids said that there was questions that weren't even in the curriculum. I had thought that with enough noise, especially from our Long Island districts, that the state would have made adjustments, but they didn't. So here is, this is percent passing. And again, it's color coded. Graduation rate, we had 52 completers, 6 local, 24 regents, 18 with advanced with honors, 3, and we had 15 CTE endorsements. And this is kind of broken down by students with disabilities, economically disadvantaged, and other subgroups. Oh, where'd my, okay. That slide should have been at the bottom. Chronically absent. This is changing this year. The state used to look at chronically absent, that 10%, collectively, like all kids, right? All kids as a percentage of children who are chronically absent. So if you see here, right, we know this is our attendance. These are the kids who were at percentage of children who are absent. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, and June. Here it's broken down by grade level. And then it's always fun, like, I mean, we probably could guess. Kids are absent mostly on Fridays, right? Who doesn't love a long weekend? I prefer a Monday. So 18 or more days. It's changing this year. Instead of doing it collectively, all kids as a percentage, it's becoming an indice, meaning little Melissa is going to have her own assigned level, her own attendance. Little Francis is going to have his own. And it's almost like a growth model for the individual student. So it's shifting. I actually wrote it down because I want to make sure I said it correctly. It's moving from an attendance indicator to each student being assigned into individual indices. So when you look at chronic absenteeism, again, historically, but we're not going to get stuck in the rearview mirror, we've had an uptick this past school year in the number of students percentage-wise who are chronically absent. If we look at grade levels, right, we know 6th grade, 8th grade, and is this a surprise? Senioritis, right? Senioritis. Not that it makes it right, but yeah, 38% of our seniors who just graduated were considered chronically absent. All right, college, career, and civic readiness. This is kind of exciting. It's on the heels of the Portrait of a Graduate. So they assign points for each of these categories. Local diploma and CTE gets 2 points. Regents diploma, high school credit through advanced placement courses, 1.5. A local diploma, 1. An equivalency diploma, 0.5. And obviously no diploma, 0. And I wanted to focus on this past school year. We are really doing very well. And this is a component within accountability. Starting this year, the seal of civic readiness and biliteracy will be assigned points. I'm not sure how many points. I couldn't find if it's going to be worth 1 to 1.5. I'm happy to announce, and I'm proud of Mrs. Marvin and her team. They applied this summer, because you have to apply to be able to give the seal of civic readiness, and she just found out a few weeks ago that we were approved. So congratulations to you and your team. Biliteracy seal will be very difficult because we only offer Spanish. But maybe down the road we figure something out with the distance learning, but we're doing very well. And a lot of it has to do with, in addition to the CTE endorsement, we have a lot of kids going to CTE, but we have a lot of advanced placement courses, AP courses that we offer kids. And a lot of kids really try to go for that advanced Regents diploma. Okay, and then the last one was supposed to be questions. I don't know how I got messed up. Questions?
Yeah, I have a question on page 6. I think I asked this question last year.
Which one?
I forgot. Page 6 on regionally.
Okay.
The comparisons of school A, B, C, and D.
Mm-hmm.
The subgroup names are, why are the categories different in some of them?
So some districts may not have any Hispanic or Latino. You have to have at least 20, I think. It's either 20 or 30. You have to have at least that number for them to be able to consider it as a subgroup. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
So if ENL are L children.
Because I know we have Hispanic.
But we don't have enough to
20.
create that.
We don't have that. We don't have the indices that indices indicator, which would be 20.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. So that happens as well. If you saw over here, let me go back. See ELP, English Language Proficient?
Yep.
It's blank because we actually had 2 more children register. So how many are we up to now? 5. A year and a half ago, we had 1. So still won't be enough to be
Right.
constitute a
I think
subgroup.
I asked that question last year.
That's okay.
But I forgot.
No, that's great. I'm glad you asked it again. Don't be, don't be curious.
It's a function of having a large enough N to
Yeah.
do statistics on them,
Mhm.
right?
Right, the
Yeah,
N
you
sum,
can't-
yep.
You can't do statistics on 2 kids.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Same page. I'm just curious, what is the rubric for the scoring to get to these scores?
It's not a rubric. It is actually a math problem. Which page are you on? 6. So it is not. It is not a rubric. What they do is, and I probably can pull it up for you. Here, I'll show you. That's why I put it here in case Tony was curious. All right. So here is. Let me get down here. I'll show you the formula. So that's why it said the denominator is either all students continuously enrolled or the denominator are the students who took the test. It is here. It might be page 39. I'm going to keep going. Nope. Nope. Hold on one second. I know I. If I whiz by it, please stop me. Right here. Right here. There's a formula. Sorry. It was so tiny. So you calculate English, math, science, and achievement indices. Here's the formula, 100 times, and the denominator is continuously enrolled. And that is, so it's not a rubric, it's a mathematical equation the state uses. And that is, we have the composite, and then, as I said before, I'm sorry.
That 100 is per 100? Is that what that is? The formula 100?
It makes it a percentage.
It's
Makes it a percentage, right.
Okay.
And
Right.
then I assume the 4 colors are the 4 quarterly cohorts.
The colors are based on percentage compared to the state. So like if we're green, that means within all 700 districts. And then, so we have as I said, that's the same formula. What changes is the denominator. The composite weighted is those 3 assessments by all students continuously enrolled from BEDS day to test day. BEDS day is the first Wednesday in October. If somebody comes in November and tests, they're not in this formula. If that student comes in November, continuously enrolls until test day, they'll be included in this number. So this is just the students who took the test, by the number of students who took the test. Does that make sense? And by 100 is because of, like you said, percentage. So it is, the denominator changes. Does that make sense? Yeah. Does that answer? Yeah?
Good job for a social studies teacher.
I'm sorry, what?
Good job for a social studies teacher.
This was in my previous life. I lived and breathed this in every district I worked in. So, and one of my dearest, oldest friends is now, she's the assistant commissioner for accountability. So she's always a phone call away. All right, that's all I got.
I have a question.
Sure.
On page 5, you mentioned that the reason there's not data on some of those rows is because science is accelerated.
No, this is because the test changed. It was given in 4th grade, then there was a gap year, and then last year was given in 5th grade, or the year before. And then for here is because in 2025, we don't have it because all our 8th graders took a Regents exam in science.
What about 2018 through 2023?
It was a different
Okay,
test.
so that's why it shows in a different row. It's
So you see where it
indicated
says
on the third row.
scale, and then it changed. They changed, and then now it's here, because last year in 2024, I have to say last year because that was last year. 2024, we had 8th graders taking that assessment.
Okay. So do the 8th graders who took that assessment, do they appear on page 7 for science living environment?
Yes.
The
So,
8th graders are
8th graders. So here's the thing with accelerating students. I am a big believer in giving more bites at the apple. Because some of our students, it's okay that we know they may not be successful, but we can take that class, that science class, slow it down and give it to them over a period of 2 years. So that when they do hit 9th grade, and they have to take that course in 9th grade, and they really need it slowed down and cut up, more chunks, they're not behind the 8 ball, right? So now those students who took it in 8th grade that did not pass that exam, they're going to continue and take it again, take that course again, and the likelihood of them being more successful increases. If they had it in 9th grade and they weren't successful, now they're going into 10th grade and they have to take a 9th grade class.
understood.
Yeah.
My question specifically is, are those students that took that living environment regents
Yes.
Yes.
indicated in the 2025 cell right there on the right?
Yes. Yep.
What's also interesting is the 8th grade students that took Algebra 1 are there, but the 8th grade students, if you go back to the math,
That we're not
that were
accelerated in
not
math.
accelerated. This is actually the bad thing. Historically, that 8th grade math is very low because they accelerate off the top part of the curve.
Oh, because that's all that's left over to analyze. Gotcha.
Yeah, and the kids in 8th grade math aren't, it's your average kid, right? But we also saw in ELA that they didn't do as well in ELA, and they were one of the cohorts that were chronically absent. Connect the dots, right? Like if you're not here,
You're not going to learn much.
right? If you're not here, you're going to fall behind. So Mrs. Marvin's all over this. She knows. Do you want? Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that. You're right. So what Jody's talking about is, if you weren't aware, when the 8th graders were taking, because we do it all computer-based, who was the new vendor? It was a new vendor, wasn't it? It was, I can't remember their name. It was a new vendor that the state contracted with to do the computer-based testing. Not just us, but across the state, it crashed. So some kids started it, and then it crashed, and then some kids couldn't get back in, or it was a mess. And you're right, Jody, I completely forgot about it. I pushed it out of my mind. So that, as unfortunate as it is, that's definitely a variable in that lower score. Some kids weren't able to finish it, right? They weren't able to finish it because it crashed. The system crashed. Tony?
And chronically, 8th graders are done. They don't want to take them. I mean, I literally would get papers where they designed their answers in diamonds or whatever. Yeah.
I did
Yeah,
very
something.
poorly on the 8th grade ELA because I didn't want to do it. I
They're-
read a more
that's-
interesting article that I wrote about instead of what I was supposed to.
They're very poor. What is the difference between the Regents diploma now that's on here and the local diploma? Because I
Usually
thought there
local
was-
diploma is what we, it's like a safety net for our students
Okay.
with special needs. Yeah. Right. And again, like Jody said, it was across the news within superintendent meetings and I'm sure principal meetings and ASI meetings that like what was up with this test, and nothing changed with state ed. Even with these numbers, when accountability comes out in February, we're going to be fine. I could show you schools that are in the bottom 5% of the state, and it's all red, right? So it's all relative to comparative. So we'll be fine, but it's good, you know, for the principals and their teacher leaders to kind of see what our trends are. And like I said, the third graders in 2021, when they hit fourth grade, when they hit fifth grade, when they hit sixth grade, and when they hit seventh grade. Okay. All right, thanks. I love talking about data. I think you can turn that off, Declan. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to our financial items. Okay. Be it resolved based upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the financial items 7.01 through 7.07. May I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Francis. A second? Thank you, Tony. Comments or questions about any of these financial items? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Oh, I do want to thank the Sheriff's Department for working with us to
Oh, yes.
figure out how to keep the two SROs.
Our
in the
SROs,
school.
yes. Okay. Next, we have instructional personnel items. Be it resolved based upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approves instructional personnel items 8.01 through 8.03. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Ray. A second? Thank you, Tony. Comments or questions about instructional personnel? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next item, non-instructional personnel. Be it resolved based upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approve, excuse me, non-instructional personnel items 9.01 and 9.02. May I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Alyssa. A second?
I'll second.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Comments or questions on these items? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next item, be it resolved based upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approve the CSE and CPSE minutes from the meetings on August 21st and 29th, as well as September 2nd and 3rd of 2025. May I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Francis. A second? Thank you, Tony. Comments or questions about this item?
Just as always, always impressed with the number. Just the amount
Thank
of
you.
work there. Thank you very much.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? To my knowledge, we are not in need of an executive session. Does anyone have a request for executive session? All right. Then may I have a motion to adjourn our meeting this evening at 7:50 p.m.? Thank you, Tony. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ray. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you so much for being here this evening. We appreciate you guys. Happy beginning of school.